history is great with the UI interaction, so it runs it from that side.
Okay. Can everybody see me? I realize I'm quite short, so I need to figure out if I should stand here or should I stand there. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Or is it better if I move? But then the mic's getting my back. All right. Okay. Right. So I call this talk the grumbling bit of the conference. I've done this before as well. I call it the grumbling bit because I'm really annoyed why we still are in this position where we're struggling to make testers integrated into engineering teams. My name is Maria Umar. I work as head of quality at a fast-scaling fintech called Thought Machine. We are building a core banking platform, and if you want to know more about the company, please feel free to come to myself and my two colleagues who are sitting at the front of the table. Right. So, a little bit about my journey. I actually had software testing as a module in my master's degree, which is quite rare. One of my peers, Simon Pryor, who is the QA manager at Camelot, talks about having testing as in our curriculum, so people actually appreciate it as a discipline. And I was quite fortunate to actually have it in my degree. And I really enjoyed how my professor conducted that course. He explained the various types of testing we can do, and I actually learned that I had this desire of working on amazing products. His name is Mark Harmon. He actually moved to UCL then, where he set up a search-based software testing forum called Crest. And now he's at Facebook, and he also organizes their verification and testing symposium, which is actually next month. So from there on, I developed this real desire to work in software testing, and I even did my thesis in mutation testing, which now when I read, I'm quite surprised that I could write that much code. From there, I started my first job as a software tester in a small, what we now call fintechs, a software house at the time. And my role was really designing test cases and scenarios and so on, which most people start with. The role was called manual tester at the time, which we now call exploratory testing. Within a few weeks, I got quite annoyed by repeating the same test scenarios again and again manually, and I was like, this is not sustainable. I need to use my brain better. So I had an agreement with my manager, and I said, I'm going to automate these tests so I can actually start thinking about test data more rather than just running these repetitive scripts manually. So I did that. From there on, I moved to another company which did mobile, what you could say, short codes. You know, when you get those text messages saying, please text stop to 8113, that was the testing I was doing. I was actually texting stop at 11:59 p.m., 11:59, 59 p.m., 12 a.m., 12:01 a.m. You know, boundary value testing, just to make sure that the customer was built correctly. I was using RSpec at the time, and I was writing lots of automation. I then moved on to various e-commerce companies and did a lot of hands-on testing and writing test frameworks and so on. But what I did not enjoy about my job was that all the managers I had did not know how to set my objectives. My objectives were really, you have to make sure you test this so-and-so version of the API by Q4, or we're going to release this version of the product and make sure we have no defects. That's my job description. And we can have a whole other conversation between job descriptions and objectives. That's not what I'm going to talk about. So I made the conscious switch to become a manager, and some people say to me, are you sure, are you sure? Because I wanted to help my team, and I wanted to help my peers, and I wanted companies to understand what value testing brings. And these were the objectives which I really wanted. Are we building the right product? We all have smartphones. How many apps on those phones do you use every day? You have lots of downloaded apps, but you don't use all of them every day or every other day. Think about the apps that you don't use. Why is it that we don't use them? Did it not serve the purpose? Or does it have a clunky UI? Or it's not what you expected when you downloaded it? I think testers really need to be told to engage with our product owners, and that's what our objectives should be. We should understand what is the product we're building and what's the value we're trying to deliver for our customer. The second objective is then, are we building the product right? Which is where testers come in and they should engage with the engineering teams. You start engaging earlier on when you're defining acceptance criteria. When they're doing code reviews, are we doing tests at the right level? Are we actually duplicating the tests? How often are Jenkins box available, or whatever boxes we're using? What types of metrics are we using? How is our test coverage, and so on. So those are the types of objectives I wish I had, and I'm trying to put those in place for my team. And of course, when I went into this role, I realized objective setting was not the challenge, and there were quite a few challenges, which I think are the reason why SDETs struggle to be seen as part of engineering teams. Challenge number one, hiring. How many of you are hiring managers for testers in the company, or have been part of the hiring process or interviewing? It's about 50% of the room. There's quite a few interesting things we see when we're trying to hire. Number one, what programming language are you looking for that the person has experience in? Everybody has listed so many programming languages. I used to have this motto that if you can write programming, if you can do programming in one language, you can do it in the other. And I fell flat on my face once because of this. I still like to be hands-on sometimes, and I come from a pure Java background. And I moved into a company which was using JavaScript, so I said, okay, we're thinking a little bit, I'll try and help out with writing testing, automation tests. My synchronous brain refused to go into asynchronous mode, and I completely failed. So now I'm of the view, try and hire SDETs who have worked with the same programming language as the language which is in production code. Number two, testers are notorious for writing awful CVs. Even my CV was awful until a little while ago, until I got some coaching. I remember once I got a CV and on top it was written, from zero to hero. And we were all laughing in the office, like, what is this? I remember that CV still today. What was good about the CV was, although that person had written it that way, they had written names of all the languages they had used and all the frameworks they had used. And we knew immediately that, okay, so he's not good at Java, but he's really good with ECMA 6 notation for JS. And that's what we wanted, so we knew exactly we can call him for an interview. You want that one look of the CV and you know whether you need to call them or not. This CV is particularly bad. It's anonymized for those at the back. It shows education section on top and their work experience. If you have experience, why are you putting your education on top? I understand if there's a graduate or a junior developer doing that, because you want to see what projects they've worked on. But it's your work experience that we are interested in as hiring managers. We want to see what languages you worked on, what frameworks you've used. Also, I've seen a lot of CVs of testers which are 4 or 5 pages long. You've done 10 roles in software testing, and in each role you've written test cases and test scenarios, and you presented test reports. I do not want to read that. I only want to see what you've done in the last 2 or 3 roles. Summarize in a sentence all your previous roles, but you should always list your previous roles because I may know someone you have worked with before, right? Next one, test frameworks. Every SDETS or tester CV has Selenium WebDriver written on it. Everyone has that written on it. 80% of the CVs also have BDD written on it, whether correctly or incorrectly. Again, that's another conversation. We don't want to know what frameworks you've worked on. We want to know what was the problem you solved with that framework. Why did you choose Cypress over Protractor? Or why did you use Cucumber over JBehave? Was there a reason? Do your product owners actually engage when you write BDD scenarios, and so on? It's not the list of tools, it's the application of the tools that we're looking for when you're hiring. And the last one, which is my biggest pet peeve. We are losing a lot of technical testers now to contract roles. And that's because the people who are in prominent roles, and there may be contractors here, we do not give them the same salaries as developers. And I think it's the responsibility of hiring managers to fight for that. We spend the same energy as an engineer does. A lot of people actually move from tester roles to developer roles because it pays better. And I feel it's our responsibility to be the voice of that team and give them that same respect. And I think that those are the real top 4 challenges we face when trying to hire esthets. The second challenge, what type of objectives should we set when we have esthets in the team? We're often told that it's your responsibility to make sure that the whole team thinks about testing. What we really want them to do is to push the whole team to think about quality. There's a difference. Anybody can write automated tests. Not everybody can think about the product. I personally have learned that it's always best to work in companies or with products where you yourself are the customer. Because I find that testers have this amazing mindset of switching and thinking like a customer very quickly, which is where the value of having esthets in teams comes in. And that's what we need to push our esthets to be. The last one, testers in team, and we have this courtroom drama in every single team. Oh, it's just you, or it's a pep hack, or it's not in your machine, and it's not in my machine, or did you try this environment or that environment? Team ratios. When I was a hands-on tester, the ratio was 1:5 in the team. I also know, unfortunately, some people I currently work with, the ratio is 1:10 or 1:50. And that's just not sustainable. I also know that there have been ratios of 2:3, and I actually think that's a really good balance. Mainly because when you have that ratio of testers to developers in the team, they can actually pair program and work together. And you can work with the developers to help create a mindset of quality. You can work together to reduce that overlap. You can truly try and achieve the test pyramid, which is where the technical testers become very handy. They can write unit tests, they can understand them, they can actually see, okay, I think we need to cover so-and-so scenario, did you do this or not? Make sure there are enough unhappy parts and so on, because we want faster feedback, and that's how we can be truly agile. The other one, which is quite my favorite, is Scrum, or what is Scrum called, that we have in our teams. I was recently at a conference where someone asked, is Agile dead? And I actually said, I don't think Agile ever came alive for testers. Mainly because we have these teams of, we have cross-functional teams, and developer starts working on a feature. I still have to see a team where the tester starts designing test scenarios at the beginning. And what happens is, towards the end of the sprint, you're handed over these 3-4 stories which you have to finish testing in 3 days, and you don't have the time to do it. And when you don't have the time to do it, that feature just trickles over to the next sprint and so on, and the cycle never stops. That's why we have waterfall and not Scrum. But in spite of all these challenges that we know as testers, why is it that we're still knocking on people's doors? Why is it that we're not solving these problems? I want to share a few stories. I know someone who works in a very notable company in London, and they don't do they do testing, but they don't have any testers in their teams at all. And lots of companies don't have that anymore. What they work is on KPIs. And their KPIs, if we find a production bug, then we are going to go back and then solve it. Recently, earlier in the year, when I updated the iOS on my phone to 11 point something, I did it at night. In the morning, I got out of the house, put my headphones on, put my music on, and I couldn't hear the music. So these are wireless headphones. I said, what's wrong? Quick Google told me, oh, the Bluetooth pairing is broken in this version of iOS. If Apple were only relying on customer feedback for their testing, I would have switched from iOS very quickly to an Android phone if this was happening repetitively. This is how you lose customers. In a financial institution I was working at a while back, we were trying to roll out our product. And the first production bug, we did a friends and family rollout, and then to EMEA, and then APAC, and so on. So the friends and family group, it was my account and a few other people in the company, including the CEO. The first production incident was on the CEO's card, and the second production incident was on my card. The first production incident was about the transactions were made at the same time, sometimes when they just get listed at that and they were not showing properly. The second production bug, which is on my card, was on the non-UK currency, and it wasn't showing up correctly. This is what a tester can actually bring into the team. I should have actually thought about that test data scenario and fed it back into the team. But this is where the true value is. When you don't have people who are actually thinking like a customer, using the product as a customer in your teams, you actually suffer from creating great products. And I think that's exactly why SDEVs are still struggling to be a part of the team too. Thank you.